Jessica, can you hear me?
Not really.
Shocker.
We need a speaker
It's
down
tough,
here.
yeah.
If I put my phone down this way, it's still going to pick up that way.
It didn't work, is it? You can,
Hopefully this is the last time.
Yeah, because it's rough on the phone.
No,
it
I would
ain't
lean.
your fault.
I
Yeah,
would
no,
lean.
I told him I'm not running back.
Tom needs to bring his microphone closer anyway, it's clear across. Do you wanna, when you wanna speak, just raise your hand and come down here, Jeff?
No,
Raise-
I'm not.
Do you want to raise your hand? Both hands.
I get it.
Or holler, either way.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
You sure?
Nope.
Angry voice. Angry.
Right.
Hey,
Jessica, can you hear me okay?
G rating though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, when the others wanna speak, they're gonna come down and get closer to the phone, okay?
Okay.
So, I brought a mask. I don't know if this will work.
You got it inside out, or
No?
you have mine inside?
Yours is correct.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right? Okay.
Is Dustin on the phone or is he coming?
Yeah, where is Dustin?
On the phone.
Oh, okay. Great. All right, we'll get started then. Okay, so welcome to the Tuesday, May 5th, 2020 Town Council meeting. We will start with our pledge and then Mr. Worthing will do our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council, as always, asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. We need some help, so please send all you can. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
First item is to call the meeting to order. The meeting is now in order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on April 21st.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Does that include the exhibits that she included in the email?
That's part of the minutes, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
Right.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve plus the exhibits, which are the storm report, the tornado report, and then a timeline of the sewer rates. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jeff Cook seconds. All in favor? We'll do a roll call vote. Oh, I was supposed to, we've got two councilmen on the line, so I should have done that first. Let's take a roll call just to establish who's here. I'm sorry. Jeff Cook,
Present, Town Hall.
Tom Worthen,
Present Town Hall.
Shane Williams is present, Town Hall. Dustin Stanley,
Present via phone.
Jessica Hester.
Present via phone.
Okay, thank you. Now we have the motion and a second to approve the minutes with the exhibits. All in favor?
Aye.
Tom Worthing votes aye.
Aye.
Jeff Cook votes aye. Shane Williams votes aye. Jessica Hester.
Aye.
Dustin Stanley.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is Unfinished business is a COVID-19 update from legal.
So, just real quickly, the executive orders that the governor has issued last Friday have updated certain guidelines. There's a little question given some of the wording he put in there regarding the electronic meetings. In their paragraph, speaking about the extension of the previous orders, there he includes the operation of the state government. So if you follow that language and say it applies to the municipalities, that means that we can continue to have meetings in this nature and have the suspended different rules and regulations through May 23rd. If it is deemed that that only applies to states, then it extends out to June 8th. So regardless, we're still able to move in the manner that we are right now. There will be updates weekly, tracking the numbers coming out to see if phase 2 can continue in the way that it has been. So it's, I mean, it is just a touch and go situation as we work through everything. But one thing that I did want to bring to the council's attention that's tied with the COVID is you have the CARES Act, which is the federal legislation that was passed. Title 4 of that CARES Act includes the municipal liquidity financing line. The state of Indiana's share of that is going to be about $4.8 billion. And the thought process is that those monies would be pushed down to the local communities that would need it to help support their funding because of shortfalls due to COVID. Now, the Indiana Bond Bank is going to be the entity that's going to be responsible for operating that and disposing of those funds. What the bond bank has issued thus far is a notification that they view the municipal liquidity financing through the federal government to be a last resort call for municipalities. Therefore, they want to see municipalities take advantage of every option available to them prior to applying for that. That includes the Indiana Bond Bank mid-year advance funding program, which is essentially a tax anticipation warrant that you get through the bond bank as an advance on the proceeds of your tax revenues. The hang-up that we have there is that through the schedule through the bond bank, you have this Friday as being a deadline for disbursement, and then the final deadline for the disbursement is 2 weeks from Friday. So in order to apply for that, the mid-year application, you have to have something in by the end of this month. We don't know how the changes to the tax receipts are really going to affect. The guidelines that I've seen around and just some estimates indicate that about 30% of property taxes are escrowed across the state of Indiana. Those are the only funds that will be dispersed from the first disbursement as a regular timing. The rest of it's in the delayed response. I don't know the analysis for Mooresville specifically. With that said, I don't know that we really know what kind of actual impact it's going to have on Mooresville and the dollars that are going to be available to it. You're not going to have the full June disbursement that you normally have. I don't know how big that impact is. When you look at other communities that I've been working with, they've seen a decrease in their utility payments. They've seen a decrease in all other receipts that they normally get because people are putting this off. And so if there's a huge impact, then the question is going to be, is there enough liquidity in the town of Mooresville to move forward without going for assistance from both the Indiana Bond Bank and the federal government? So that really is a question for Diana. Happy first year in the clerk's office. It's a question for Diana to go through, and I think that it's probably prudent that you work with the financial analysts like Baker Tilly to go through that and make a determination as to whether or not you should be looking at the possibility of needing the municipal liquidity financing, and if that's the case, then you'll probably want to get your numbers together to apply for the mid-year advanced disbursement. That's just out there for information. I don't know how you guys want to proceed on that, but that's just what we're getting back from the bond bank at this time. Happy to answer any questions on those issues.
Is the federal government money a loan or is it a grant?
The federal government money is a loan that will be paid back, but the timing as we look at it right now is that it is your interest-only payments go for, I think, what they're looking at is a 2-year time period, and then principal is paid later. That's how it's been going for the other areas of the funding.
Can we do that? Can we do that in-house with the funds that we have?
Yeah, so if you have enough liquidity, and I just don't know your numbers well enough yet, if there's enough liquidity in Mooresville to cover the expenses of your budgets, then you're not going to need it. I just don't know what it's going to look like.
Can you defend us in commingling funds if we use them out of food and beverage for unapproved or TIF funds revenues? Can you defend us? Because if we're going to pay interest to anyone, again, I'd rather pay it to us.
Yeah. So there are a couple different steps there. So if it is a town-controlled fund, so if you're looking at your food and beverage, as long as we get those monies back into those regular funds, the line items, by the end of the year, you should be okay.
But we have 2 years if we borrow the money.
Correct. And there's a potential that you may not even need to do that.
Okay.
We just don't know what the impact's going to be. But if it's a potential that it's going to hit, then you're going to want to get it earlier. Now, you can get it back into those funds. There will be another tax anticipation availability in the fall through the bond bank, so that you're going to be able to kind of possibly float funds that way as well. But I don't know what is in order. Now, when you talk about TIF finances and that the monies that are in the redevelopment, what you would look at is a loan agreement with the redevelopment department for those funds, is short-term loan. And on those, I believe, depending upon the terms, you can extend beyond the standard budgetary years. And so you may be able to pay that back in a longer time period to redevelopment, as opposed to just a cash flow issue between funds of the town itself.
Has the State Board of Accounts said anything on, or I assume that they're going to release what is paid by May 10th as far as with the escrowed accounts, and then the deadline has been pushed off to July. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are they going to have a disbursement in August following the July, or are they going to wait until the fall disbursements?
I think the anticipation is that they will have a disbursement again in August.
Okay.
So there will be 3 disbursements, possibly more than that if there's an extension of the fall deadlines as well. But the anticipation is that you're going to see 3 disbursements for your regularly scheduled tax monies. The other issue that you have with the flow of money, though, and what we'll be looking at, is there's going to be an impact to casino funds. There's going to be an impact to road and street, because you don't have as many people out there driving, so not as many people getting gas. And so those tax dollars are limited as well. And we have no idea what those numbers look like.
Yeah, but those aren't monies that'll come back. That's the part that I'm concerned with, is borrowing the money outside, whether it's the bond bank or whether it's the federal funds. Those revenues, the income tax, the use tax, the sales tax, the riverboat tax, those are monies that we're not going to get back.
Correct.
Okay. What a bleak day.
Yeah, it is. So ideally, the town has enough liquid assets to see it through, so you don't have to borrow. I just wanted to put it on everybody's radar that that's what the bond bank was saying, that it's a last resort only for the federal municipal liquidity financing.
The treasurer just attended a seminar with Major Tilly, correct? Or
It was a webinar.
And they told you that 10%, only 10% of Morgan County property taxes are escrowed.
Okay, so that's even lower than the state average.
Which That's pretty surprising. That's pretty low, I would think. Do any of the council members on the phone have any questions for Jewel regarding that?
I do not. Stanley does not. I appreciate the update.
What about the reopening of government center activities? And I know the county has been assessing when to reopen and how to reopen and what kind of mitigation factors they're going to have in the government center. We've done some of the things they recommend, like install the hand sanitizer, and we've done a few things they've already recommended. I think there's a shield in your office, a face shield at the counter where people
The
get.
workstation has a plexiglass shield, and also we've set up the entrance to our office where we've got it marked off to keep visitors 6 feet apart. I know the county just released today that they're gonna open June the 1st, that they're working still 8 to 4 in the office.
Okay.
That it's just closed to the public.
Okay, so that as we reopen, where are we at, Jewel, on what we, as far as essential only and that kind of stuff? Is that expired?
Yeah, so what the state has done is the governor's indicated that it's up to the local municipalities to determine how they're gonna reopen their towns and cities and the access. You still have the social distancing guidelines, and so that has been relaxed to 25 in a meeting. And so within those constraints that the government puts out there, the governor indicated that local municipalities can have more stringent restrictions if they want to, but they don't. You don't have to. So under the state's guidelines, you control how you want to open the town. When you look at the AIM message boards and the circulars out there, a lot of different municipalities have opened up today. A lot of them are saying they're waiting for a little bit, or they're rolling it out slowly. But it's all a local determination as to how you want to proceed.
As far as today, I know the chief of police asked about essential. That's all lifted though currently, right?
So today marks the start of the phase 2 rollout, which means that you don't have the restrictions on essential travel only and things of that nature. That has been relieved or lifted by the state.
Do we need any kind of adjustment to our resolution?
No, because we indicated that in the resolution that you would follow the guidelines of the state and the governor's office.
Okay.
And so if you just want to follow it that way, that's fine. If you want to take other action to put in more stringent than the state, then you would need to.
Can I give you my plan real quick, just so?
Sure.
What I had planned on doing, I have 2 admin staff that they've been just rotating back and forth and just always whatever work they need to do, they get it done and then they're leaving, and the rest of the stuff is whatever the C-19, which is the clerk's office model as far as like the payroll thing for their documented purposes. And then I have 2 people that are on light duty, and I just pretty much sent them home because there's nothing they could do. They were doing some just paperwork, but it's nothing they really can't do from home, so I just sent them home. What I plan on doing is we have a dividing area where nobody can access the admin personnel. So the only thing that we're going to restrict, that we're not going to do until probably June 1st, is fingerprints, because then they have to come into physical contact with a person to do that. Other than that, I was going to continue to just restrict the secretaries to whatever they can do while they're there, and then let them go whenever they're done with that. And we're going to open it up from like 11 to 2 for if you want reports or copies of stuff like that, where we have to money transactions and stuff like that. Is that acceptable to the board for the time being?
I think we left it up.
I think we left it up to the department heads, and if that's what you see fit, that's what I support.
So we'll still be able to use the C-19, I guess non-essential personnel, we can still limit their ability to come into work and just do what they need to get the work done and then go home.
I personally don't have a problem with that now.
Very good. Does anybody object to that?
I think we left it up to our department heads
I
across the
agree.
board. I mean, I think if you need them, they'll be there.
Agreed.
The only fingerprinting would be like for gun permits, wouldn't it?
No, we don't do fingerprinting for guns anymore. They actually, they have to, that's the problem, people don't read the instructions online when they do the gun permits. They have sites set up for fingerprinting. We only do it for job.
Okay.
You know, people come in for a job application, hey, I need to get a criminal history, I need to get a fingerprint. That's the only time we do fingerprint.
Any other questions regarding the COVID update for legal? Did anybody on the phone have any questions, any additional questions regarding COVID?
I do not. Stanley does not.
Okay. You're through?
Yep.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is new business, and it's positioned as two items: change order for the town government center roof, this is the insurance claim, and then a change order for the town street department garage. And Mr. Smalling's here, for questions.
And I can address this real quickly. So normally speaking, when you have a public works project, you can't have change orders really before the project begins, and then change orders are limited to a 20% increase. There is one caveat to that, is that if it is arising out of the original public works project, so this one was for the roof of the town government center and for the town street department garage, and there was an unforeseen circumstance which increases the scope of what needs to be done tied to that public works, then a change order can be allowed without the restriction. These two change orders are tied to the tornado damage, which obviously you could not foresee prior to, or at any time really. And so it's damage to both the town government center roof and the town street department garage tied to that insurance claim. I've worked with Mr. Smalling's attorney to go through this process and spoken with the insurance adjuster. I think they are on board with the way we have laid it out. And so this would be a change order allowing Josh to continue to address the roof of the government center and the street department garage under the original contract or public works issue that was awarded to him earlier this year.
The original job was to replace all the roofs, correct?
The original job was to.
Josh, could you come up to that?
The original job involved this town building here, the government center, as well as the South Park Drive Center. However, once we got awarded everything, there was some other stuff that kind of came to light that I didn't see from the first original bid. So I was trying to go back to the insurance company to get some of the items that were missed to get it taken care of for the town.
So really, I thought we gave him permission if he found something, or do you think this was, I mean, because the original specifications were to replace the roofs.
Right.
So, I mean, was it damage that was from the original windstorm, or was it damage that was from the tornado?
Some of it was from both.
Okay.
There's a second claim, correct?
Yeah.
From the tornado. The first claim was the windstorm, and the second claim from the tornado.
Just so I understand, what was the damage like on the tornado that replacing the entire roofs wouldn't have fixed?
Well,
Just an example. I mean, just something, anything.
so if you didn't have one slope that was damaged, a lot of times the insurance carriers will go in and try to piecemeal it per se.
Uh-huh.
If there's other damages that we find prior to the work, I can go back to the insurance company and get them to take care of that. Or if there's a code issue that arises that we didn't see before, you know, like for instance, a lot of older buildings will have what they call space decking. You know, they'll have more than a 1/4 inch gap, you know, in between the one-bys. Well, it's not a solid substrate, so I can't nail to that and abide by the law, me as a general contractor, and put it back on that without going back to the insurance company and doing a supplement to get them to pay for the space decking so we can put it on per code and per manufacturer specifications.
So is that what you found was space decking?
There was some space decking, there was some slopes that didn't have, that had some additional damage on them that was missed.
Damage on the decking?
No, on the shingles.
But wasn't the original bid for all the shingles?
Yeah,
Okay. So the damaged shingles are damaged more?
there was some more damage, yeah, and there was some damage that the adjuster, the first time that he came in, didn't find. Or was overlooked, so to speak.
On shingles that we're going to replace anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
A little bit. I talked to Dave, and he said that there was gonna be possibly more damage after he had got the bid, that they were still looking at stuff,
Okay.
to my understanding. Is that right?
Yeah, any insurance job per se, not just this one, but any of them. I don't want to speak for any carriers or name any
Yeah.
carriers out in particularly, but a lot of times they'll send somebody out that's incompetent or underskilled or just doesn't have the experience, so to speak, to look at stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll get missed or whatever. So if it doesn't get mixed before we do anything, we go out and check everything to see what's missed, what's not missed, just to make for sure everything is per code how I'm supposed to, abide by the law and stay legal as a GC doing the work, and put it on to where if there's ever an issue from the manufacturer's standpoint, that way they would cover it, or it would be covered under our warranty. So
Okay. Well, I was just concerned because the way the specifications went out is we're going to take every shingle off this building, including the spires, and we're going to replace them. And that's what we awarded to you. That's what you bid on, and that's what you were awarded. And the same over at the street garage, the old street garage, not the new building. We're going to take every shingle off, and we're going to put all new shingles on. And I mean, you did it to the T. I mean, you bid exactly what we asked for. And then I was just trying to figure out what I don't know what this meeting here is, as far as we had told you then that anything to do with that claim, obviously, hey, I got in here and I found where the shingle blew up and then the water damaged that part of the board. We can do that. Obviously, this roof here is what, 2006, I think, is when we remodeled this. Does that sound about right?
I believe so, yeah.
2006, so it was a new roof then. So I don't know if building codes have changed since in the past 14 years.
December 21st or December 27th of this year, they signed in the 2018 building code.
Yeah, so it may be something that has changed there. But if we're taking off an existing roof and putting a new one on, do we got to bring all that up to code? Okay, and then insurance will usually do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the proper coverage is there, but I'm not a policy expert or
Okay.
anything.
I didn't know what else you had found. I thought maybe you had already found something that was outside of the scope of what we had already said, because we'd already given you permission and you'd already bid to replace everything. So I didn't know if we were charging to replace something we'd already told you to go ahead and replace, or what we were doing here.
No, there was lack of scope.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues, at least in talking to your attorney in going through this, was that you had the claim from the original windstorm back whenever that happened, and then now you have a claim for the tornado issue on the roofs.
Okay.
And so Josh was given the authority to deal with the insurance company and be the agent to negotiate everything that needed to be taken care of under that initial policy or initial claim for the windstorm. But he didn't have the authority to act as the town's authority or speaker for the tornado issue. And so because you had these two claims and you don't know which one it's going to fall under, it was just bring them all under one heading and let him deal with any damage to the roofs regarding either the windstorm or the tornado, however the insurance company was going to categorize it. At least that's what I understood from your lawyer.
But we've already said we're going to replace every bit of the roofs.
Right.
Yeah, we want him to replace the roofs. We've already told him to replace the roofs. We've already been paid, or a portion of, we still have the, to make sure we don't run off with the money to Las Vegas or something, we still have the depreciation that we'll get once you're done. So I would assume that, the loss is on the windstorm, so we would have to fight that part of it. I don't know how anyone's gonna determine, were you up on the roof? I mean, I know we had pre-bid meetings and everything like that. I mean, were you able to inspect the roof before?
I didn't inspect the roof
Okay.
before, I just did drive-bys.
Okay,
And put something generic together, because most of the time, there's always a supplement when I dig deep into it, so
Okay.
once it's, but before we do any work, I make for sure that I've got everything that I need to put the town back the way it's supposed to be.
make us whole
The
again.
pre-loss condition, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanna make for sure that if there's something there that needs to be paid for, I wanna call that out, because my job is to determine the amount of loss. So I can't determine coverages or nothing like that, cause that's illegal for me to do, but all I do is put it all out there if there's something missed, you know.
But if we do everything under the original windstorm, we have one deductible. If we say, okay, now this was damage under the tornado, this was damage under that, we have two deductibles. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, two different losses.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was doing under the first one, is checking all the other buildings as well under the first loss, to make for sure if there was other damage at that time, I could get it all covered under that one claim. That's what me and
On
the
other-
original adjusters were doing, yeah,
On the other buildings, not on this.
right.
So that's where this arose, was we already have a claim, we've already accepted that, we've already bid on that, and now you're looking at other buildings.
Yep, I was looking at the other ones, so that way if there was damage on those, since those didn't get looked at under that claim, we could still get it covered under the policy. Since you already had an open claim already, it would have just been to the town's benefit. That's what I was doing.
Can you explain the Parks Department's gonna do their own bidding for their properties, right? And so is it town-wide deductible, or does the Parks Department have a separate deductible, the town separate?
I believe that you have a single policy
Yeah.
that covers everything. When it comes to the parks, though, it is a separate entity, so they control their property, and so that's why it's under the purview of the Parks Department to control. I think there was a shelter that collapsed.
So the two deductible issue really isn't an issue, because there's gonna be a second deductible, because the parks, I mean, Bicentennial Park has a lot of damage to the
Yeah.
roof, things like that, so that was tornado related though, on that one. The shelter was,
It was wind, but it is still falling under the same
it
claim.
collapsed,
as it should.
it got some roof damage, but it collapsed under the tornado,
Well,
so.
and the cabin had the tree fall on it, and there's shingles blown off of the other building over there. The cabin roof's got shingles blown off of it.
But they'll have to bid that separately.
The Parks Department.
And I excluded that in the change order. I excluded the park stuff in there. I didn't know about that until
So we're gonna have two
Speaking of-
deductibles anyway.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is this change order only on the two buildings that we're talking about, the street garage and this one? Or is this giving him, or you said you're working on the other buildings, right?
I was before this happened, so, and then.
And what's this? I guess I'm out of the loop here.
The claim.
Okay,
I was looking at the buildings on the policy.
before the tornado?
Yep,
Okay,
I was.
okay.
I was
Now-
looking at them, but I was unaware of the park situation and all that, so I had no idea about that. But now that light's been shed on that, that's why I excluded it out of there. Because typically, if you're dealing with a claim under one policy, you're looking at every address on that policy, whether it's for a town or a church or a different municipality.
Okay. Okay, so what is this change order asking for?
It's my understanding in talking to your attorney is that you needed a change order in order to make sure that you had coverage to deal with the insurance company on any outstanding claim regarding the town-owned properties, the street department and the government center, and the damage to the roof.
Yep.
But I see what
I see what
Councilman
Thomas
Worth
said, he's
is
already
saying.
got that.
Is
We've
if you
already
already
done
have the authority to repair and remove all the shingles under the original claim, then what is the need for, what additional authority do you need? Is that?
Yeah, I
What
think
is-
we've given him all the authority to take care of this one claim. And I'm assuming if you're saying, okay, now we're gonna go look at all of the buildings. I think as keepers, watchers of the tax dollars, we would have to look at, hey, I think you got damage at this garage or this garage. I think we'd have to go back through a bid process if it's over 50 or 75,000, 50,000. I know there's different 150,000. So I don't know if what you're asking for is I want to go look at the animal control, the kennel. I want to go look at the kennel and see if it's damaged. I appreciate you doing that. I think maybe you're the one that helped us notice that we had damage on this building to begin with. And I do appreciate that, but to say that, hey, we want you to go look at that and file a claim for us on our behalf, I don't know that we can do that with the monies.
No, and so that, in the discussions going on was, leading up to this, was that this was tied to the underlying claims that we had for this building and the other. So that's how we were able to tie it to that exception under the change order provision. But if we're talking about separate buildings, I mean,
The only other separate building that I know of is the courthouse that Dave Moore had us do the temp on, that had the shingles blowed up everywhere, and if we wouldn't have done the temp when we did it, it would have got soaked.
Yeah, but you'll still file a claim on that. We need to get you paid for that. That's
Right,
immediate.
But
I
that
mean,
still falls under the same claim,
under
under the same policy, under the same claim for this 4.8 storm.
for the 4.8 storm.
Mhm.
But we have nothing so far. We have nothing other than any temp covering, emergency coverings, any emergency services. We have nothing that says these buildings are damaged and these are what we want to do for the 4.8 claim, for the tornado claim.
Right.
Wind, and it was wind prior to January, because I think that's when we started this, was sometime back in January on this. So, I don't know to say that I'm ready. Obviously, we owe him for his emergency services, and we appreciate it. You did one heck of a job for the entire downtown as far as getting things back up and covered. But as far as to say that I don't know how we can say, okay, now take care of the tornado claims throughout the town's property. We asked him to cover up the other, and we owe him for that. And we have a portion of our property insurance pays for that kind of emergency services, and we owe him that. Send us a bill, and we'll forward it to the insurance company. We owe him that money. But to say that we need him to take care of all the others, I guess he can give us quotes on them. We can request quotes, but don't we have to request them from everyone?
yeah, no, so we would have to go out and get quotes for stuff that is outside of those buildings that were originally covered in that grant, so that this
Which is
building
only
and
this
the
building
garage.
and the street department building.
Correct.
Right. We don't have anything for the town hall, or that's all covered only, or the court, that's covered under the emergency services, correct?
Yeah, I don't know, did you do any other services for us? I think,
No, we looked at all the buildings, that's the only other one that we noticed that had damage on them. I
okay,
looked at the wastewater plant, I looked at everything. Other than the parks department, that's the only other building that's got damage on it.
I mean, I guess the question now then is, what additional authority do you think that you need to see that claim through?
Well, I would want hypothetically, I would like the same authority that I had on the first one, because there's gonna be other issues here, and I don't know how the adjuster's gonna break it down. I can put it all in one big shebang and say, here you go, split it up how you wanna split it up. But I don't, there's part of it part of it they didn't wanna cover the first time, which I called the adjuster back out, met with him, showed him everything, and then turned around and, showed him the damages, but we never got an updated estimate from the carrier because it got assigned to a different person, weather got bad, we just couldn't seem to get it.
that was for the first claim.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, you already found some there, but we had already given you authority to work with them.
Yep.
So do we need to have legal counsel call our insurance company and say, hey, Josh has already pointed these problems out to you, why haven't you addressed those?
You can, but it's just, every claim's different. This one is a little bit different because you got part of the damage okayed in the first storm, and then without a doubt in my mind, whatever they wouldn't cover on the first one, they'll cover on the second one. So how they split that up, I don't know. All I can do, I can write everything for the whole entire thing, and I've got it all written up, but to be honest with you, I don't know how they're gonna split it up from one to the other, and depends on the adjuster, depends on their,
Have you already found damage outside of the scope of the request for bid that we sent out originally? You've already found damage on this building or the other one over there that is
There was
outside?
damage- There's damage on the Parks building prior to the 4/8 storm, just a
No,
couple
no.
shingles missing. but
Well,
the-
This building.
This building here, the one that you've been given the job, we've already told you, replace every shingle, do everything that was within the scope of what, and I think we got the estimate from the insurance company first. I think we got, this is what we're going to pay, then we let it for bid because it was over $50,000. We let it for bid, you came in as the lowest bid and quality work, and we took your quote on it, or your bid on it, and also gave you the authorization to, if you found a problem, to address it with our insurance carrier. We gave you all of that authority. I guess if you can he itemize what he sees above and beyond what we've already told him to do? I don't know how else to do this.
Yeah, so I think the question that I have now is, what is different? So if you were going to replace every shingle on this roof, what damage is additional that would not have been covered under you replacing every shingle on this roof that you're now going to have to do as a result of the tornado?
Several things. Space decking, some of the most of the gutters have to be detached and reset in order to install the gutter apron properly. There's several things.
And those are the things that you wouldn't have done under the original
Mm-hmm.
contract, but now have to be done under, because of damage that has occurred because of the tornado.
Yep.
Okay. And is that what it is? So when your attorney's saying that there's damage above and beyond that we need a change order for in order to get the roof of the government center and of the garage completed, it's those things
Mm-hmm.
that you
Yeah.
cannot. Well, let me ask you this, because I think this is Councilman Wharton's ultimate question: is are those damages that can be attributed to the first claim from the windstorm?
Some of them yes, some of them no. Because of the way the insurance stuff was wrote up, only part of it would be covered under that first loss, and then the other part covered under the other loss.
That's kind of consistent with what Larry Long told me over the phone, that there would be two claims and they would cover it all. But
That's why my contract's set up the way my contract's set up, because if there's something missed, we can always go back.
does this add the building that wasn't included before? I'm not seeing it reference the,
It would just be under the claim number, so it just excludes, my change order excludes the park stuff.
but
And it's
you're
entirety.
trying to add the town hall into this.
Yeah, but if you wanted to take that out, we could
Do
white
you
it out.
think it was damaged in the first storm?
I don't know about this because I didn't get on that one. I know for sure it wasn't the second one. But I'd be lying to you if I told you it was. I didn't.
Is it just the roof?
There's roof gutters, there's an AC unit there too. They got knocked off of the thing. So I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what the council's threshold is or how they feel about it. I mean, I think there is space decking up there from when we were temping it. I got the feeling of that, with the way that the boards were popped up and stuff, but if I had to guess, there's probably $20K or a little more in damages on that building. If I had to guess.
So that's under, Tom said 50,000, is that?
Well, regardless, anytime you have an amount, most municipalities have what they call the small purchasing guidelines. So there's an amount that is set for each municipality that says you don't have to go out and even get quotes or call for quotes. In excess of that, at the very minimum you should do until you get to the public works bidding issue is call for 3 quotes or get 3 written quotes so that you have information, people are giving you prices on the same thing. And so that is outside of what was in that original spec, and I think you're gonna have to remove that out. I mean, you'll have to pay him for the work that's been done. And then get specs on that, but if there are damages, if there are additional damages to the town government center and the street department garage, outside of what occurred during the windstorm that needs to be repaired now because of the tornado, that was my understanding of what the change order was being requested for.
Have you been told no on the things that you've requested to be done on this roof?
I have not, because I was waiting for this to turn everything.
I mean, I guess, have you been told no that had nothing to do with the windstorm that happened prior, I guess?
I have not.
Okay.
Because the adjusters changed. I met the original adjuster out here when I found the other items and pointed it out to him, sent him photographs and all that stuff.
Other items here.
And other items on the other building, but they, you know, I don't know how.
They're protecting their money, we're
Yeah,
protecting our
sure,
building.
sure.
You're looking out for us, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we gotta work with everyone.
Yeah, does this second adjuster seem more competent than the first one you're talking about? I mean, can you pull him back out and say, hey, can you relook at this under our first claim?
Oh, we can, and I expect, and I plan on getting him out here for
Before
sure,
we do this
because
second one, or?
Yeah,
I need to show him everything, but, and then the other, you know, but
How soon can you have that meeting with you?
it depends on him, but he's pretty arrogant. I've already talked to him on the phone.
Okay,
Not a pleasant guy to talk to on the phone, but,
okay.
You're not gonna avoid two claims on the town though, right?
yeah.
Because the parks got damaged that it didn't have repaired.
Right, so the second claim, it's I mean, you guys.
Yeah, but what he's trying to do is, he's trying to put everything in under that second claim. And that's what this is saying here, is if, right now, if there were damage if he goes back and he finds damage at the animal control shelter over at the wastewater treatment plant, that's on this one claim, and that's what he's saying is, I want to put this umbrella under this second claim, that I will do all the repairs on this claim, and we need to focus on, let's get one job done at a time and move on, and I'm trying to figure out what authority we haven't given him already, because I thought we were pretty broad in saying, please work for us and please do this job for us. So I guess and you said you found several things that were damaged in the tornado, but I don't know.
There was additional damages to this building in the tornado. There's additional damages into that. I understand what you're saying, but from the insurance side of things, it kind of makes it totally different in an aspect.
Then do we just need to ask for different claim numbers or a designation for these two buildings?
There's already two claim numbers.
Yeah,
According to
you're only
letters.
gonna have each, the way that I understand it, I'm, like I said, no policy expert, but whatever addresses you have covered under your policy, if you make a claim, it doesn't matter if you have claims at 5 different addresses, it's all gonna fall under the same claim. That's my understanding.
Okay.
So if you had if you had a windstorm one day, which is an act of God, and you had a kitchen fire 3 days later at another residence, then yeah, that would give you another claim number.
And that's why it references two claim numbers here. There's already been one filed.
Mhm.
A second, that's what Larry Long told me.
Yeah, and as far as the change order goes, if we did I did the exclusion for the Parks Department on the change order, and if we needed to exclude the other buildings other than these two, then so be it. But that would allow me to do what I need to do with the insurance company to address the other stuff. If they won't cover it on one, they'll cover it on another, because then if I get them to cover part of it and then they won't cover the other part, then we're back to the same drawing board that we are now with the space decking issue and all that stuff.
The tornado gives you more to claim,
There's more to claim
Reason to
there,
claim.
but it also allows us to put it back to pre-loss condition from the second loss. So,
Do our building codes require ice and water shield
Mhm.
and the drip edge?
mhm.
Yeah, I run into that with my properties, and we're looking at that. I know what you're talking about.
Drip
It's
edge,
there.
ice and water, the steepness requires that you hand seal every shingle on the steep parts. Yeah,
But you were gonna do that anyhow?
on the first bid,
Yes.
yeah.
And the space decking was there on the first bid?
It wasn't addressed though in the scope that I provided.
But doesn't insurance cover that? You said to
They
bring it up
will.
to code?
They will, but I have to supplement it to do it, and we can do that, that's not a problem, but there's a certain way I gotta do it with insurance. It's not just go get 5 bids, turn it in, and they pay it, that's not how it works. We write on the same software. Our
If the
price-
tornado hadn't happened, would you have replaced that space decking?
We would have had to.
Okay. So then that's not a tornado issue. Give me something that the tornado caused so we know what we're up against.
Well, there's, I mean, I guess if, you know, I guess if you're looking at it from that standpoint, I don't know.
Okay. Well, you probably haven't had a chance to get up there and look at it since the tornado.
Yeah. I just sent my estimators out to look at it, I haven't physically got up there,
I don't want to get up there. It's too high.
Yeah.
It's scary.
yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? I mean, I'm comfortable with, well, we've asked him to replace them all. And if the space decking would have been replaced in the first, you know, if the tornado hadn't happened, is there anything that we're gonna do today that we wouldn't have done had the tornado not happened?
If the insurance company if we could assume that the insurance company would 100% do the right thing, the only building that I know of would be the park stuff and this. But with the parks excluded from my scope of work, the only other thing that there would be to address would be that.
Okay.
If the insurance company did the right thing the first time.
Okay.
Is this something that has to be decided tonight, or can we table this and,
I can't.
or I can
move-
reach out to, go ahead.
I can't move forward with the adjuster until I have this.
You can't move forward and have another meeting with him about the first
I can
claim?
have him a meeting with him, but if he doesn't include the other stuff on the first one, he's gonna include it on the second one. That's why it's so important. So why meet with him about one, we'll meet with him about both, as long as we're discussing the same buildings. I don't see what the problem is.
Will the insurance company tell you what claim this is gonna be under? Like
They will
what
be
claim?
they will be the ones that decide that, yes, 100%. I can't dictate, what claim number they put it under.
I don't know how they determine, unless they counted the shingles that were missing and then came back and counted them again.
I don't think the shingles are the issue. We're replacing every one of the shingles.
Yeah, that was gonna happen on the first claim.
Yeah, we were just lucky enough that it hadn't happened yet.
Sure.
Jewel, where are you at on this? I mean,
Well,
we call you for everything else.
I am now confused. It is, I mean, because it's what you're saying. What I'm trying to get my head around is, you know, when we discussed this, and when I discussed this with your attorney, we have the provision for a change order on a public works project when you couldn't foresee additional work that needed to be done. What I'm trying to get my head around now is, and that was a question I asked a little bit earlier, what is there that you did not have under the first issuance? So the first contract, what damage is there that you would need to address now that you didn't have the authority to under the first? I mean, I think that's what Mr. Worthington is saying here is, if we were going to replace all of the decking, and we were going to replace all of the shingles,
The
under the
decking
fir-
wasn't included in the first scope.
right, but it was still going to be something that you claimed that fell under what
It
you
should have, yeah.
right. So you were going to have the adjuster look at that, and so that would have fallen under that first contract for you to work with the adjuster and try and get that covered. What is there as a result of the tornado that was not covered under that first contract? I mean, Because what the change order is we have these shingles, like this roof needs to be replaced, these shingles need to be replaced. However, there's no claim whatsoever against, I think another thing you said was the gutters and things of that nature. Well, if that would not have been replaced under the first contract that was bid, and now, because as a result of the tornado, it's something that we need to replace, then that's when a change order would be appropriate under this scenario. Because it's a small window that we are coming through, an exception within the statute itself, which allows for a change order of that nature. It's when there's additional damage, which you could not foresee, that is tied to that underlying public works project. Here, if we're replacing the entire roof and all of the shingles, what damage is there that needs to be addressed that would not have been addressed under the first contract?
The insurance company didn't approve all of the slopes on the first claim.
So there's additional, so
That's what I was working with them with prior to the 4/8 storm.
So originally, then what you're saying is that the entire roof would not have been replaced?
Under the insurance, no.
Was your bid for the entire roofs?
Yes.
Okay.
So then it was gonna get replaced.
It would have gotten replaced, yes, but the way I have my contract set up is that if there's something missed, I can go back and get that from the insurance company.
But this here would be no different than if we were doing this outside of insurance. We put this out for bid, replace all the roofs, that was the specifications. And you said, I will replace all the slopes, all the roofs for this much money.
Via my breakdown that I provided.
And that was all the roofs, that was every slope.
That didn't have every slope on it, no.
Did we ask for every slope in the bid?
I'd have to go back and look at it.
Why would we not get every slope?
I wrote for what I seen via what I thought insurance would approve.
We didn't ask for. I thought I had there where. I think he asked for the entire roof in the bids. Roof replacement specifications. And when you came to the pre-meeting, did he ask for all of them?
I was the one asking most of the questions.
Okay, you were the one asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know what we do here, because I know that Dave sent back that he had looked at all of the quotes, and all of the quotes appeared to be apples to apples.
So when you look at the specifications, it's shingles are to be 30-year dimensional, maintain the roof watertight at all times during the work, provide materials, labor, and equipment for the shingle replacement as described herein. Work is to include but not limited to removal of all existing shingles and other components to expose wood sheathing, replace of existing damaged deteriorated wood sheathing, replacement of sheathing to be done per code, installation of underlayment to meet manufacturer's installation specification, installation of new shingles, chip edge, plumbing vent collars, ridge vents, off-ridge vents, roof caps, flashing, other accessories to meet manufacturer's installation specification, and installation of manufacturer's pre-made hip ridge material. Hip and ridge rows will be run straight and shall be installed according to manufacturer's locations.
The adjuster's estimate was comparable to what you bid though, right?
Yeah, because I asked if insurance was involved, so I wrote it like kind of quality, just like the insurance company would. And for stuff that they typically pay for. But I also know on the back end of things that you can go back in and supplement it. And that's, we audit every claim that we do. There's always stuff that they leave out. Sometimes it's $3,000-4,000. Sometimes it's over $100,000.
Well, you can't see the decking through the shingles
Yeah,
unless you go in the attic, I guess.
right.
Right, but that would have been covered under the first claim, though.
Maybe if the adjuster would 100% have done the right thing. If. I had another claim with these carriers on a residential claim last year in Carmel. It took me 8 attempts. They started at 5,000 and settled at 85,000 of the stuff that they left off of the bid.
Okay.
I provided all those documents when I turned the bid in.
Okay, then why aren't we doing that with the first claim?
I was attempting to do that.
Okay.
They had reassigned another adjuster. I got the first adjuster out there prior to the bad weather and sent everything in. And he said, well, if I approve these, it's probably over my authority. So I got to call and see if, he said I have to call and see if I have authority to do this or if it's going to be the large loss guy. I said, okay, get back with me. Never got back with me.
And then
I sent him all
lockdown.
the photos, sent him everything, waiting on him to get back with me. And then next thing I know, the storm happens and we got a new adjuster involved. And then that's kind of.
Now, is that adjuster picking up the first
Yes.
claim? He's going to do the
assigned-
first
yeah.
and the second.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, usually. What was his total bid, Josh's?
Total was $74,221.04.
And Josh, where do you think you're at now with your change orders?
I have no idea.
You don't know? Okay. Well, I didn't know because he said that if he was going to change that, it would be above his pay grade, and I didn't know if he had a number or if you had a number. Because
Yeah.
most of these guys do use that. What is that? Exactimate.
Exactimate, yeah.
And they just kind of take a picture from the sky and say, here's what we're going to do, and then they count on you to come in and say, hey, this is how it has to be done.
Yeah, and then we provide other photos, you know, for step flashings, counter flashings that are missed and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we give them the authority. We've already given them the authority.
I can assure you I'll get the town's best interest in this, and I'm
No doubt in our mind.
well
But
qualified to take care of it, but
Wouldn't have voted to award you the bid.
yeah, I
if we
mean,
didn't,
yeah.
for sure.
but you also have to understand that 5 council members also have the town's best interest at heart
Yeah,
also.
no, I totally understand that.
But Larry acted like with me that it would take both claims to get it all done. And I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what he acted like with me on the phone. So I don't know if you want to talk with him or not.
Well, then what would he say if we say, okay, we're going to do this and we sign this,
Yep.
and then he starts working with him on these, but then we have a claim on that building over there, and we have XYZ construction company that comes in lower on that bid to do that.
No, I see what you're saying there,
And we just write the change order to exclude.
but as
Any
far
other
as the
buildings
change
under the
order for
second
this
claim
building.
other than-
But does that null and void that claim number? If they only give one claim number,
No, we just exclude the buildings in my eyes. As long as I know. No, seriously, I mean, in all reality, if you say, hey, your change order is good for this address and this address under the policy and under this claim number, I mean, that ties it directly to there, that's black and white,
And then you would get bids for the town hall, right?
Yeah, when you say
We
town
already got
hall,
bids for it.
I'm
We've
sorry,
already-
for the
Court.
court, town court.
it does make it easier when you got one guy that writes the stuff up the exact same way, dealing with everything. I'll just throw that out there, but I understand you guys' position as well. But
It's a
you
fluke what
guys
happened.
do what you have to do as a council. I'm not, I don't want any bearing on that, but
mean, I'm still trying to get my head, is it are you saying that you will not be able to do this, repair everything on this roof
Without the second claim.
and repair everything on the street department?
So where would we have been if the tornado hadn't happened?
I would have been still dealing with the adjuster, trying to supplement the other stuff that he missed the first time.
Sounds like we need to talk to Larry Long and find out why they sent an adjuster down that doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I don't think that the guy didn't know what he was doing, but he didn't want to
Clearly
tell
he
me
doesn't
face
know
to
what he's
face.
doing.
He didn't want to tell me face to face, so he couldn't give me authority face to face. Oh, hey, I can tie these in, but I can't tie this in, or hey, I can't do this, or I can't do that, because when I talk to the guy, they have these, anytime something's steep or two-story, 95% of the time they have like a ladder assist company come out, and they'll have the ladder assist company that's a subcontractor for the carrier come out, and they'll get up and do their test squares and do all that stuff. Sometimes they find all the damage, sometimes they don't. Every one that I've ever dealt with, they never find all the damage.
So, but really the damage is how much decking we're gonna need.
Mhm.
That's the damage. Because we know that we don't need them to look at our shingles because we're getting all brand new shingles, brand new shiny shingles. It still have that brand new shingle smell on them. So all we're worried about is the decking.
Well, and the other slopes that weren't covered, we can get those supplemented under that same claim.
That's how Larry Long described it to me, but maybe we should.
We asked you to give us a price to do all the slopes.
Right, I understand that.
And you said, yes, here's what I'll do it for.
Right.
We have a stack of others here that said, we'll do them all for that also. We'll do all the slopes.
Right.
So I get trying to get them to do it more, but, and I guess what you're gonna do is, you've already agreed to do all the slopes for that price, so if you get us more money, we get to keep that money.
That's not the way my contract's
Okay,
set up. No.
okay.
I don't feel comfortable voting tonight. I'd like to table until I can get more research done on it. I want to talk to Larry Long myself to get a better understanding. I make a motion, we table this until next meeting.
We've got a motion to table for those that are on the phone. Do you have questions about what's going on? I don't know how much you were able to hear.
I could hear everything. I would be most comfortable if we table it as well at this point.
Okay. Dustin, how about you? Did you have questions?
Yeah, take that as, I did not have any questions. I was able to hear just fine.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know. So we have a motion by Cook to table until you said the next meeting?
I agree with that. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second by Worthing. We'll do a roll call vote. All in favor, Mr. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Cook's an aye. Mr. Worthing?
Aye.
Mr. Worthing's an aye. Shane Williams is an aye. Jessica Hester?
Aye.
Jessica Hester's an aye. Dustin Stanley?
Aye.
Dustin Stanley's an aye. The motion to table passes.
We'll have this at our next meeting. We'll have more information. Sorry we weren't
No, it's okay.
better prepared.
Next item on the agenda is the department head reports. So, Chief, do you have anything you'd like to?
Do you have questions?
I have a question, I do, but do you have a report, or did you already give it in your earlier statements?
That's what I wanted to talk about, was the earlier thing, about how they were gonna handle the opening up of the town and what we can and can't do until they do a full opening.
Okay, did you get all your questions answered then?
Pretty much, I have a question for, just Diane, as far as, I was kinda curious how she was gonna open up, but I can ask her that later.
Okay, I had one question for you regarding the tornado report, and we approved the meeting minutes tonight that included all of the information that you had given us.
Correct.
So that'll be in the public record for everyone to see once it gets posted, which will be when? Maybe as early as tomorrow morning. real soon. I did have a question. This past week, the paper and former councilman got a hold of a recording between our dispatcher and Morgan County. That was not presented to the council as a part of this report, correct?
Correct.
I'm just curious how that information got out that way. I'm not upset that it got out, because if it's publicly gotten information, if it's a public information, it belongs to the public anyway.
Correct.
And I believe that the audio that I heard confirmed what we were told occurred that night, in my view. But I would just like to know how that might have happened, or if you knew about the recording, or how it might have gotten out.
At the time that I provided you with that information, that was the information that I had at that time. And then I saw the paper, and I don't recall if it was just before that article came out or afterwards, I was made aware of a recording. I have not heard this recording.
Okay, I learned about it in the media release. Myself, I would have liked to have had that included, even though I do think, at least what I heard, and I've done a public access request to Morgan County for this information as of yesterday, because I'd like to hear the whole conversation myself, but your reporting to us stands as what you submitted.
Yes, the sirens were operational at that time, at the night of the incident.
Okay. I just wanted to double check that since that came out.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, legal, do you have anything?
Nothing further, no.
Public comments? Does your grandson have any comments? Okay, motion, the next thing is the motion to approve the claims.
Make a motion we approve the claims for $589,730.24.
Okay, we have a motion for the approval of the claims. Do we have a second?
Second.
Stanley will second.
Councilman Cook beat you to it, Dustin. So we had a motion and a second.
You can have it.
Okay. We had a motion and a second, so we'll do a roll call vote. All in favor? Councilman Cook?
Aye.
Councilman Cook votes aye. Councilman Worthen?
Aye.
Councilman Worthen votes aye. Shane Williams votes aye. Jessica Hester?
Aye.
Jessica Hester votes aye. Councilman Stanley?
Aye.
Councilman Stanley votes aye. Motion passed. Town council comments?
Had one question. I saw the emails back and forth as far as BZA and Planning Commission. Are they going to be open for regular meetings? I've had several people that have had stuff scheduled for April, but I don't know if they were given an advance notice. We're kind of in a timeline there to get all their mailings out and everything in the 10 days. I think some people had a better privilege of knowledge, inside knowledge, than others as far as being able to get the notices out. Is the Planning Commission and BZA going to be back in normal operation?
It's my understanding that they're having their meeting on the 14th.
14th, but if, I just don't know if everyone had the same luxury of being told, hey, we're going to have these meetings.
Okay.
So I don't know. I have had two people that had things on the agenda that have called and asked.
Okay.
So that was it.
Councilman Cook, do you have any comments?
I have none.
Councilman Hester? Councilwoman Hester, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Councilman Stanley, do you have any comments?
The only comment I have is the proposed small business COVID-19 relief fund memo that I sent you guys, just requesting a special meeting, a joint meeting with the RDC on Thursday. I just want to make that kind of a point that we'll answer all the questions Thursday if you so grant the request.
And those notices got out to everybody everybody that needed to be, okay.
including
So
the
we'll,
emergency commissioners.
When are we having a meeting?
it's this Thursday at 6.
Is that just an informative meeting for us, or is that something we're gonna be voting on as a council, or that's gonna be a redevelopment decision?
It is, from my discussions with Adam, they're just wanting the council to be there to receive the information, so that receipt of information is a official action by a council, so that's why you have to notice it up and it counts as a meeting. But it is regarding TIF funds, and therefore it's a decision that the redevelopment commission is going to make regarding those TIF funds.
First I've heard of it. Thank you.
Did you not send Councilman Ward an email?
I know she had said that she did, and I don't know whether it got blocked. I went through it, and she said check your emails for a meeting, and I just wanted to.
Oh, Dustin sent the email out with all the information. Is
I
that
got
right? Is that what
that.
you're talking about?
I got the.
Well, it was in that one, and then I asked the treasurer to send a separate email directly to the council individually. So it should have come to you twice. Any further comments, Dustin?
Nope, none, thank you.
Okay, I have 3 things real quickly. One, the COVID-19 grant that Dustin and I, and quite frankly, the town attorney had sat in on the session on. This is the Oprah grant that we've been working on. It has been paused. We have not been denied for it, but the program ran out of money. So our application is still sitting there, and they're going to inform us if there is a second wave of funds that come into that. And then we'll keep proceeding with that. But I wanted to give the public an update and the council an update on that. Second, I sent an email to the chief of police. Per the SOP, the president of the council can order a tornado siren test. So we will be setting that off at our next meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, Tuesday, May 19th at 6:30. And we may have spotters at each siren. I think there are 5 that we control, is that correct?
There's 5 that we control. Monrovia piggybacks their siren off ours also.
Okay.
But we will have people at each side whenever we set them off at 6:30 sharp on the 19th.
Do you need volunteers for that?
No, I've already got it hooked up.
So when our sirens go off, Monrovia sirens go off?
Yes.
Okay, have we contacted them to let them know we plan on
Yes.
doing that? Okay.
Yes, we've been.
As long as they're aware
Bob
also.
Marley, and he knows what we're going to, and we plan on advertising on that on our Facebook page, and I know you said you were going to get a hold of the Mooresville Times to advertise it also.
Yeah, can you do something to help us with that, Lance? Okay. So that's going to happen. That's Tuesday, May 19th at 6:30. Lastly, one of my campaign promises was to donate my town's salary back to the town for technology, specifically currently in the meeting room. I know Dave Moore's been looking at pricing televisions so that we can put them up here and have presentations available on those. And he's been looking at getting a laptop that can be used for that kind of presentation. So I'm donating the first quarter salary of $750 to the town of Mooresville, and it's right here. So I can turn that over to the treasurer.
I thought the minutes said 1,000.
What's that?
I thought the minutes said 1,000.
It did 4 times 750 is 3,000.
Yeah, but you were quoted in the minutes as saying $1,000 a quarter.
I
you approve
think
it?
I was.
I think 750 is generous. I appreciate it, Shane.
I think he is correct. It's 3,000 for the year, okay? So he got me. Very good. So that's all have.
I just know they were. I know we're being clairvoyant. Is that the word? Clairvoyant? No,
Transparent.
Transparent.
Yeah.
Transparent. I think he is correct though, so thanks for correcting the record. It's 3,000 for the year.
I didn't correct the record. I asked for $700 or $250 more. That's what.
Denied. Okay, so next, the next meeting date is already stated as Tuesday, May 19th at 6:30. Do I have a motion?
Except for the special call that you have on Thursday.
Oh, that's correct. So we do have the special joint meeting Thursday of this week at 6 o'clock. That's with the town council and redevelopment commission to discuss a business relief package perhaps, so.
Do we have
I
to,
a motion
do we have to
adjourn?
amend the minutes?
I hope not.
Motion to adjourn.
Stanley will make that motion.
I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll do a roll call. Councilman Cook?
Aye.
Councilman Cook votes aye. Councilman Warden?
Aye.
Tom Warden votes aye. Shane Williams votes aye. Councilman Stanley?
Aye.
Councilman Stanley votes aye. Councilwoman Hester?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hester votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Josh, you got too confusing too fast, man. So I'm gonna give them tomorrow, first thing.
You guys have any?
You're the only person in this
Well, I'm
meeting.
gonna call,
Please stay on the line.
I'm not an expert in
To
this
turn off the
side, but
music, press 1.
it's too confusing, so.
That's all it is.
Well, I don't like playing games with taxpayers' money, you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand that, but our contracts don't define the county.
Right.
I'll get back to be our contract. That's why I got them specifically set up like
Can
that.
I give,
So that allows
your
us to
package?
sign 100
Or did
people
you
without
write on
giving
it?
an estimate.
No, I don't know what happened to
Tim
it.
still advises
It was